beloved third person in Ricky today, but maybe he hops in. Who knows? You'll have to wait and see. But he was at the LSU game yesterday, so I think he might be recovering, especially from the absolute wild finish and sad ending that he suffered there. But Shawn, how you doing today? We are on to week 6. It feels like time flies when we're having fun here, but how are you doing?
I'm doing decent enough. My Dolphins will not lose this week, so I am excited about that.
I feel like I can say the same for the Steelers against Aiden O'Connell this week, but you never know. You never know. If they beat the Steelers with Aiden O'Connell and no Devontae Adams and no Jacoby Myers, I'll add in as well. I'll probably burn this jersey. Not this one, because this is a Juju Smith-Schuster jersey, because we here in Pittsburgh still support our man, our Juju Smith-Schuster, who popped off once again in Kansas City this time. It's happening, everybody. And eventually he'll find his way back home to Pittsburgh. But
Juju
in the
has found
meantime,
his mojo.
I love it. We're all here for him. But aside from that, and aside from my personal love for Juju Smith-Schuster, we're here to help you guys with your week 6 lineups, whether that's an IDP question, a start sick question, a rest of season question, a offense question. We are here to help. So we got a lot of questions coming in, a few from before the show. Keep them coming. We're here to help, and getting these questions are how the show keeps going. Obviously, we already had Thursday Night Football play out with the Seahawks taking the fat L to the 49ers on Thursday night, and we got the Bears taking on the Jaguars right now. The Bears taking a 14-3 lead into halftime of a wildly disappointing Jaguars team yet again, and Doug Peterson might not survive this week, but that will have to be seen, because as Ken Vasquez puts in a very perfect question here, should we drop ETN for a jar of pickles? Depends on whether they are dill or like there's like a sweet and sour pickle that I've had from Costco that's really, really damn good. But what's your stance on this? Would you drop ETN for a jar of pickles?
I am not a pickle guy.
Oh,
However, it doesn't sound like a bad deal.
let's say a single slice of pizza.
Oh yeah, pizza all day.
Okay. Single slice of pizza for Travis Etienne. There we go. And it goes to show, especially for any of our Dynasty listeners out there, just how quick these things can turn, especially at the running back position. Travis Etienne was a consensus RB1 for Dynasty heading into the season. Right now, you'd be lucky to get RB2 prices for him, and maybe even not that. So, food for thought there, but that's for talk for another show. Let's start off with a few of the questions we got in from before the show today. Remember, keep them coming. IDP, offense, we're here to help it all. We already have a bunch coming in, which is awesome. Good to see you. Steven, Fancy Breakout. Gary making a comment in here. Love Gary Van Dyke. Mark LeBlanc. And we're going to start off with David Frazina. And I hope I pronounced that right. Need one of these guys. Logan Hall against New Orleans. Micah McFadden against Cincinnati, Jamie Sherwin against Buffalo. Help me out with Simpson.
Trenton.
Oh my God, he is that removed from my mind at this point, man. Trent Simpson against Washington, or again, help me with Orgy.
That would be the. I'm not helping you there.
Okay, yeah. You know what I mean, though. Come on,
yeah.
Fancy.
For the Saints. Is it Anthony?
Anthony, yeah,
that
sounds right. But half a tackle, assist, 2 points per sack, forced fumble recovery, 3 for interceptions. He's lost Eric Kendricks and Grant Delpit, so he's scrambling at the flex. You got to only pick one. For me, it's probably McFadden. I would want to play Sherwood, but I just don't know I don't think we have any clarification whether Mosley's back. I think he will be, but Monday night game, it makes it difficult.
Yeah, for sure. Sherwood was my initial thought, but I don't think Buffalo has been very good to linebackers this year, so that's a tougher matchup. I'm leaning McFadden here too. Simpson's been in and out, and they're doing like a rotation there some, and I don't think they fully trust him yet. They're in Baltimore, but the opportunity should be there against Washington. But I think I'm with you. I think McFadden. McFadden is the answer.
Yeah, the usage for Simpson has just been so frustrating. Where he's off the field on key third downs, he's off the field on
Mhm.
key fourth down drives. They're not trusting him yet, and I understand it. It's his first year as a real starter, as a real part of this defense, with a new coaching staff as well. So in terms of the entire defensive staff from last year is different than the entire defensive staff this year. So with all that in mind, also CJ Mosley is expected to play Monday night, so that takes Sherwood off the table for me. I'll agree
Ah,
with you. I'll go McFadden, who has more tackles than Bobby Okereke,
yeah,
I
what
believe,
is
this year.
going on there?
So
That's
yeah,
a bit disappointing.
that's a tough one. Not great, but you get some Sunday night football drama that way. But let us know if there's any other people on the wire that you're considering. Always happy to help and come back to it, David. Let's go to Fancy Breakout here. Also, good to see the Tootsie Pop 6. Good morning to you. Hopping in the chat here. Good to see you. Go back to Fancy Breakout here, a weekly defensive line question, because we always get our wonderful question for Fancy Breakouts. One of our favorite listeners out there. If not, a lot of people contend for that top spot. Weekly defensive line question. Do we like Will Anderson this week, or would you start, I assume that's Jeffrey Simmons, an Eagles defensive lineman, or Will McDonald over him? Oh, man, Will McDonald is the name that jumps to me there. It's a tough matchup
Tough matchup.
against this Buffalo front. And I really don't know what to expect from the Jets this week. Obviously, the biggest news of the week of Robert Saleh being fired, defense coordinator Jeff Ulbrich getting promoted to head coach. Does that at all impact the way the defense performed? We heard from Sauce Gardner say how much this defense played for Robert Saleh, and now you take Ulbrich away from the unit to focus on the entire team. I'm really curious on seeing how this might affect this Jets defense. It might not at all, but we'll learn a lot this week for sure, and over the next couple. But what do you think, Sean, of these names here? What's your preference? I mean, Will Anderson against the Giants, I feel like is still, or is it? No, not the
It's
Giants.
the Patriots.
Patriots. Thank you. It was those two matchups, the top two that I'm looking at this week. Is you go against Drake May in his first rookie start, and then I
Terrible offensive line.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the play. It is his first start. That offensive line has been awful. He's going to be in for a rough game, I imagine. But Simmons is kind of draw my attention here against the Eagles. I feel like he will be busy as well.
Well, is it?
That's not Jeffrey Simmons, is it?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering. Is it Jeffrey Simmons? Because it's
It
defensive
can't.
line.
They're playing the Colts.
Yeah, they're playing the Colts. So if we get some clarification, Fancy Breakup, because I know you're always in the chat and you're a great.
It's
we love you. If we
is
get
it Cleveland? Cleveland plays Philly, right?
Yes, I believe that. Let me double check. I have the week 6 schedule right here. The Browns are playing the Eagles in Philadelphia this week. Either way, I'm playing Will Anderson against in this perfect matchup.
I see it. It's Simmons or an Eagles defensive lineman, not Simmons from the Eagles. That's my bad.
Yeah. I assume he was Stream, one of the many Eagles defensive linemen who have disappointed so far. I'll go with Will Anderson. We saw not too long ago what they faced the I should have this on hand, but the Texans, give me the schedule. They faced another rookie in his first start early this year. I'm trying to remember who it was. It was Caleb Williams. They played Caleb Williams in week 2 in his second start, I suppose. And I believe in that game they had 7 sacks on him. And honestly, this offensive line just isn't very good in New England right now. They lost David Andrews a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I'm pretty confidently playing Will Anderson here. I know it's been up and down, but
Simmons is the other guy I'm still thinking about on this one, just because I do kind of like the matchup against Indianapolis. He's, I assume, healthy since he is back, plus the bye week. The only problem there is the Colts. Half these games when Richardson's been in, they haven't had a whole lot of offensive snaps, so it lessens the opposing defensive players on opportunities. So I'll go Anderson with you, but if he doesn't produce this week, I'm starting to push him off to the side here.
Oh, sure. And if it wasn't this matchup against a first-time starter, especially one that doesn't have a lot of help around him,
Mm.
100% be okay with pivoting off Will Anderson. There's a lot of guys this year that we have said last week that we were okay pivoting off of, despite the high draft investment that we've put into some of these guys. So keep these questions coming through. If you feel dumb about wanting to take out one of your best guys, like a Daniil Hunter, although we do love him this week against a very lovely Giants get right matchup, but
We've
he's a
said
guy
that
that
plenty of times.
I know, but that's exactly my point. Of a lot of us have these highly drafted defensive linemen that we took in our drafts. Daniil Hunter has been, no words about it, he's been disappointing, and he has not been what you drafted him to be. And we've said over the last couple of weeks that we would choose other guys in certain matchups over him. So it's okay for a lot of you guys out there who are thinking about pivoting away from your studs. Sometimes it's not the right matchup. I understand that process with Will Anderson, but we'll trust him one more week here. Another question for Fantasy Breakout. Linebacker, EJ Speed against the Titans or Jermaine Pratt against the Giants. Two red hot, quote unquote, LB2s of their team. In two terrific matchups here. So what are you thinking here? Because they're both near auto starts to me. So I
Yeah.
probably I can't bench EJ Speed, but that I guess that's where I go. But I'd love to have Pratt in too.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Speed has definitely been the Colts linebacker to have, and Pratt. Normally we see him have big games and then kind of fall back down to earth, but he's been on such a hot roll here lately. I'm with you. It's hard to stop to bench him right now. I don't think you go wrong this week with either one of them.
Yeah.
I'll say Speed, just because I do think he will have a few more opportunities against the Titans with both Pollard and Spears being in the backfield, plus their short passing game over
That's exactly what I was
Pratt.
wondering as well. Is the snaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of which one of these guys is going to be on the field more if we're really splitting hairs? So I
Yeah.
decided to check out on teamrankings.com of whether or not what we're talking about in terms of plays per game. The Giants right now are running the eighth most plays, believe it or not, on offense this season. So
Okay.
that does offer a lot of opportunity for for Jermaine Pratt on the other side of the ball there. And as for the Titans, as my laptop is a lemon and moves very slowly, um, it the Titans are 23rd on that list. So does that change you at
Yikes.
all? It's only a 4-play difference on average. Uh, but does that change it at all that the Titans run less plays on offense so far this season? I think the Titans have a bit of a bounce back this week off the bye. Maybe it's hopeful thinking, but I think the Titans are going to look better than we saw in past weeks. So I'm fine sticking with EJ Speed.
Yeah, again, it's Richardson back with the Colts, and they have had trouble staying on the field, sustaining drives and stuff like that too. So I do think the Titans will be rather with the Giants on plays this week. Again, we could see Cincinnati get so far ahead that the Giants kind of abandon that run game and go more with the dinks and dunks to Robinson or maybe some Shepard or not Shepard, Slayton. So I could see that game going away from Pratt more than the Titans game going away from Speed.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And also to your point, the Colts 30th in plays run per game so far this season. That's due to all these deep touchdowns and quick 3-and-outs that they love to do there. But let's go on to Steven Smith here, starting two linebackers here. Aziz Al-Shaair, Jermaine Pratt, Frankie Louvu. And should he drop Louvu for Tevin Wallace or hold off on that? I mean, Pratt, I think, is a start for us, right? Of as one of these guys.
Yeah, I do like Pratt.
So what do you think for that second linebacker spot? And then we'll get to the Tevin Wallace part.
Yes, Louvu for me. This dude's been on fire as well. He's been getting sacks, fumbles, racking up some tackles. Even as the second guy there, he's been everything he was in Carolina, I think, up to this point. Like he's back on it. He's on fire. Al-Shaair has, I mean, he's been not terrible. We're just not
He hasn't
seeing
been
any
what we
real
wanted, though.
greatness here,
Yeah.
right? And then again this week going against our rookie quarterback, I don't see him having a big game this week. Yeah, I just don't see that many plays coming his way. So, but as far as dropping Luvu for Wallace, I'm not making that move. While I would try to find a way to get Wallace, I would almost drop Shire or Pratt.
Really?
I almost. That's tough. I would try to find a way to get him if your bench is deep enough and you have some other guys that you could drop. I think Wallace is going to be a stud the rest of the year just based on volume alone. And Shire has been so up and down. I would almost make that move.
I think I still hold on for Alshair because we also have with Trevor Wallace. We know there's going to be a factor of Josie Jewell is not out for the season.
Yes.
He'll be back at some point, and
Right.
well, yeah, sure, but we'll see whether how that affects his role and so forth. We only have a 1 week sample size with Trevor Wallace in this full-time role, so I think he'll keep it. I'm with you. I was the guy that was not pounding the table. I'm not going to be that confident, but I was willing to take a shot on him last week, and I'm glad it's paying off. I still will hold on to Al Shire slightly. But as for starting two, we both agree we'll go Pratt and Luvu. Especially, ironically, this Patriots matchup, yeah, it's not one we love, especially with no Ramondre Stevenson as well. Yeah, it's really a rough week to give Drake May his first start.
It's not a smart idea by the Patriots
I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what about this matchup was like. This is when we want to make the change.
I wouldn't make this change at all this year. I don't think, as bad as that line has been. Yeah. You brought Brissett in to basically get his ass whooped all year to save May,
and he was doing that while winning.
Yeah, he was doing a great.
The way. He was doing exactly what you wanted him to do.
Right.
You win a couple of games, you're still going to be one of the worst teams in the league. But hey, if Drake May comes out and balls, then that's all that matters, So we'll see. But you're asking a lot out of the guy throwing to KJ Osborne and company. So,
right.
Fancy breakout here. Switching to offense. Always love. We can do this too. Pick one in full PPR. Jerry Slayton, Trey Tucker, Xavier Legette. This is Trey Tucker for me without too much question. Despite the tough matchup and despite the Aiden O'Connell factor, I'm not willing to roll out Slayton, and I'm not willing to roll out Legette. And Trey Tucker has had quietly solid production, more weeks than not so far this season. So that's the way I go. What do you think, though?
I'm not as scared of Slayton. I do like Tucker.
PPR.
Full PPR. I mean, the Giants, they've been passing a lot. Robinson, neighbors, both have been getting a lot of balls here. Not a lot of yards, but they do get the passes. But I think I'm with you. I'll go Tucker as well, but Slayton's right there behind him, and I'm kind of staying away from Carolina.
Yeah, that's usually my rule of thumb, staying away from Carolina. Although Xavier Legette's usage has been climbing, it's looked better, but it's still not what I would feel comfortable starting, especially compared to Trey Tucker, who, listen, I'm not going to say I'm a big Trey Tucker fan, and this could go easily off the walls if Aiden O'Connell passes for 100 yards in the whole game, which I think is possible. But we know Jacoby Myers means that there's going to be at least a few screens thrown Trey Tucker's way, and he's a very fast guy. The Steelers like to allow big plays every year, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's go on over to Mark LeBlanc. And remember, keep these questions coming in. We keep on just keep on rolling through. We're going to be talking for the next 40 minutes, and we are talking about nothing without you guys. So if we get your start sit questions, we're happy to help. If you've got any trade questions, we're happy to help. If you're wondering about what to do with the roster, we're here to help. Pick one, Greg Rousseau, my stab in the heart, Greg Rousseau, Jalen Carter, or Yaya Diaby. Oh, boy. Two guys that have massively disappointed me in Greg Rousseau and Yaya Diaby. What do you think? Because I'm going to throw it your way while I weep in a corner somewhere.
Well, you said it. Massively disappointing. Rousseau, I'm off of right now.
I'm done. I'm done with him.
Yeah, I'm not going back. Diaby gets a rookie quarterback, Spencer Rattler, but that offensive line's been pretty decent. Maybe they could trick him into a sack. Jalen Carter gets Cleveland, who has been just awful. So I'm somewhere between Carter and Diaby, and
That's where I
I
lean
don't
as
like
well.
it. I don't like it. I don't know which way I want to go here. Carter could have a big
Yeah.
game. He could have a goose egg. I feel like he's kind of hit or miss.
I think I'd take the matchup with Rattler and just roll out Diaby. And when in doubt, I like starting defensive linemen against rookie quarterbacks or any inexperienced quarterback, because the one thing that is universal across all rookies is that they struggle under pressure. Unless you're
Right.
CJ Stroud or hella Jane Daniels right now, who is looking unbelievably good, and I am I'm so happy that I was so lukewarm on him, and I'm so happy that he's working out because he's such a fun prospect. But discussion for another time. Any consideration for Rousseau against the Jets?
No.
Again, I'm not going to talk you into it because I won't talk myself into it, but it is against the Jets. This team has allowed a lot of hits to Aaron Rodgers. Not a ton of sacks because Rodgers still getting the ball out, but
I think it'll come from Miller from that side instead of Russo.
well, Miller's suspended,
Epinesa.
right?
Is he? Did I miss
Right?
that?
Didn't he get suspended for something? Let me triple check this. I thought he was suspended for his off-field incidents. Yeah, he's suspended for the next few weeks.
Wow, all right. So, no, you're not doing it to
I don't
me.
think
I'm
it
still not
helps,
taking Russo.
honestly. It doesn't help. Like it just means you start. You have Brees Hall chipping on Rousseau as well. Like that's
Uh,
like you want to give Rousseau a double team? Like he's struggling enough on single teams. God.
Ed Oliver's out again too, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
So yeah, they can
yeah,
load up on
Diaby.
Russo.
Yeah,
Oh,
load
I'll
up
go with
on
you. I think
Rousseau.
Diaby's the right way here because we got Vita Vea. He can apply that pressure right up the middle.
He's
So now
so awesome, man.
Spencer's got to run to a side and could be Diaby's side. So
This is
let's
gonna
go
be
with
Vita,
that.
this is gonna be Vita Vea's first All Pro year, which I'm so here for. Because he's been an absolute game wrecker in the middle of the field. Mark LeBlanc also adding that Rousseau is disappointed since week one. You were 100% right on that, and we have been, specifically me, I've been moaning about it ever since because I thought this would be the year, and he tricked me. He tricked me. But another question by Mark here. Defensive back, a tough call here with Nick Cross, Brian Branch, Antoine Winfield in his first game back. Nick Cross feels like someone hard to bench right now, given his usage and tackles and everything we're getting. Although it is trending down, I'm aware of that. That is a little bit something to watch for.
It's also against the Titans. I don't know. That doesn't screen defensive
I think
safety matchups. I think they're towards the bottom for safeties for
yeah,
allowing points to safeties. So I'll be a little weary there. I think I want to go Winfield again with that being a rookie
I do as
quarterback
well.
on the other side. I could see some big plays coming his way. Branch is the other guy there going against Dallas. That could be a fun matchup too.
Mm.
I think I got to start Winfield. I mean, he's the stud you drafted him to be, right?
Yeah, I mean they
You got
can
to play him. He's healthy.
if they shoot Winfield on a blitz at Rattler, that is going to be deer in headlights moments. Like
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
like, oh my god, that's yeah.
yeah, it's easy to forget now, given the injury so far this season, of how unbelievably good Antoine Winfield was last year. And not only unbelievably good, but unbelievably versatile in how they use him. He's not a deep
Yeah,
coverage
right.
safety. That's why we love him. He can slide in the box. He can blitz. He can blitz from the slot. There's nothing he can't do. And against Spencer Rattler and a first-time starter, it they're going to move him around, and it's going to be
Oh
some
yeah.
confusing coverages. I'd honestly be okay throwing a couple bucks on him getting an interception this week or something like that, because they're going to hide him until the last second. Of they're either going to shoot him out of a cannon or they're going to have him lurk, and he's going to make it work. So Antoine Winfield for me between these last two, I think I still lean Nick Cross, but I'm no shame in going Brian Branch because I like you, I like this Dallas matchup too.
Yeah, it's Branch and Winfield because we're expecting a shootout between Dallas and Detroit, are we not? So we're looking for plenty of tackle opportunities here. Nick Cross, bad matchup.
You're
I'm
not
worried about how
expecting
many.
a shootout between the Colts and the Titans?
Not in the way you're expecting. Maybe like a tight end versus tight end matchup or something
A
weird.
Drew Ogletree against Chigokonkwo?
Yeah,
No,
there you go.
This is the Josh Wild breakout week. All right, I'm calling it here. All
Oh
right,
wow, getting
yeah,
bold.
Josh Wild breakout week. Book it down. He catches a touchdown this week. Finishes because of that touchdown as a top 5 tight end. So we'll see.
Doesn't take much this year to be a
No, it
top
doesn't.
5 tight end.
Yeah. So
2
we'll
catches
see.
might get it done.
Hey, we'll see. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Richard Malone.
There you go.
What's up, Richard? Good to see you here. I know you're another name that we always love to see here. Good to see Alex as well hopping in the chat. We'll get to your questions in a little bit. You're right on the clock here. And remember, I believe we have super chat options, if I'm not mistaken. And if we do, if you guys are in a rush and you don't have time to wait for us to get to your questions, feel free to drop that in. We'll be able to we'll prioritize those, obviously. I need to start 4. Zach Bond, Dorian Williams, Roquan Smith, Quincy Williams, DeMarvin Overshown, or Zaire Franklin. Juicy options here. Which names do you want to throw out immediately as we're starting? Which I imagine, let me just say, Overshown. Good.
Yep.
100%. Load him up. Shoot him out there. Roquan.
Yes.
Yep. So that's 2. Quincy Williams.
I think I'll go Quincy on this one. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So now, let's leave it on Roquan Overshown as locks. And then honestly, let's the other 2 starts here between Zach Bond, Dorian Williams, Quincy Williams, and Zaire Franklin.
I think I'm out on Franklin on this one.
I think I am as well, which I don't love, but yeah, the only reason I don't love is because of the name value at this point.
Right. I'm not saying
like
Franklin's going to be absolutely terrible. It's just between the rest
but
of
we
these
have great
guys.
options.
Yeah.
So Zach Bond obviously has been terrific this year, but again, we're always a little bit apprehensive of that Eagles linebacker situation.
Right.
But we know Devin White's not coming in. So so I'm fine going Zach Bond as the 3rd linebacker here.
It's not a bad choice. It's really not.
None of them are. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I love Dorian Williams as well. But I'm mindful that he dropped down to 76% of snaps last week.
But he's been on fire.
He's been terrific. I'm fine. Again, all these options, very strong starts. These will all be linebacker 2s. We're trying to guess which ones are going to be linebacker 1s. So Dorian Williams just has the greatest risk to me, just because I love the matchup. Just because he's not an every down player. I think all these other guys will be every down players.
Yeah, that's fair.
And also, Terrell Bernard didn't get tackles last week, really, which was unusual. But first game back, but he still played 100% of snaps. I expect that to flip back to the course this week. But good matchup against the Jets, so no problem lining him up too. But I'll go Roquan, Overshown, Bond, and Quincy Williams. I have no issue if you swap Quincy out for Dorian Williams. Would be where I lean.
Yeah, I think that's right. Overshown's all over the place. It's hard to mention him. Roquan is Roquan.
And no Kendricks.
You're right. Bond, man, that's such a good matchup. It's hard to take him out.
If you take out the name of Zach Bond, what's he doing in this group? Yeah, I mean, he's been terrific. He's been good, and hell, 1st round pedigree. I mean, once upon a time. I mean, it has a lot of exactly. It has a lot of feelings of a Hassan Reddick type of situation where Hassan Reddick was originally playing, off-ball linebacker, and now they've put in Zach Bond, who was originally they were trying to get him to be a pass rusher, and now they're putting him into an off-ball linebacker role. It's just the inverse of that.
Yeah,
and he's playing really well. So I'll take Zach Bond with a medium level of confidence. And doubled up with Quincy Williams on Monday night.
I like that. Quincy Williams has been on fire too. That's a good matchup as well. So yeah, I think we picked the same 4. Jordan Williams is right there with him. Zaire Franklin's the clear last guy here. What, 6 man out?
What a sentence that is. I'm sure we would have said that 6 months ago. But yeah. By the way, Shawn, have you noticed how much we're agreeing today? And it seems to be without the absence of a certain instigator, a certain
Right.
agitator.
A rift divider.
Yeah, exactly. Just someone crushing the chemistry between us two, causing us to fight. Now we're on the same wavelength. And honestly, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think everything we're saying is correct, and I think it'll all work out.
I don't think I've been wrong yet.
I guess we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully, we'll help you guys keep on.
We
getting these
don't
questions
keep score of our picks,
in.
so nobody fact check
But
us.
we do victory lap them, and we do make fun of each
Right.
other when we're wrong, and that's how we keep each other accountable, and that's what keeps this show light and fun. Stephen Grease, good to see you here. We're going to get to those questions in a little bit. We're going to get to a few before. Same to you, TM. Good to see you guys hopping in. Remember, you could always hop in on YouTube, send those questions in. A few from Twitter, including from Alex, who we're going to get to in just a second. First off, from Fantasy Sports here, he's got Cody Barton and, help me, Wallace.
Trevin Wallace.
Trevin Wallace. I'm not okay. Yeah, I gotta rotate the breakouts this year into the mindset so far. So, do you drop any for Overshown? Absolutely. Throw Barton to the curb for DeMarvion Overshown, right? I'll be agreeing with that.
Yeah, I like that. I do. I do not trust Barton at all.
Yeah, I'm fine. Again, I'm fine rolling out Barton, but with Overshown on the wire, he's clearly the best of these three in a start for me. So I'd be happy picking up and starting Overshown plus the rest of season upside. We saw him get to 100% snaps before Kendricks got hurt. So there's that upside of it's not just an injury fill-in. And either way, Eric Kendricks, I know Mike Zimmer's the DC, but let's just let the man retire. It's not working. There's a reason why Dallas's run defense, and it goes with defensive line injuries too. Dallas's run defense has been terrible. But I think we both agree Trevin Wallace and Overshown both starting and rest of the season, right?
Breaking news: Joe Flacco will start for the Colts.
Oh, is that a healthy Scratch Richardson then?
He is the emergency quarterback.
Okay, so that's a thing of, yeah, he's still injured, but
Yes.
yeah, Joe Flacco is actually okay. So that changes a lot of things, potentially for a lot of people. All of a sudden, this Colts offense might actually run plays. So a slight
Now this
boost,
is a shootout. Now this is a shootout.
All of a sudden. But yeah, keep those questions coming in, everybody. If there's if you got questions on either side of the ball, especially on offense now, because that changes a lot for these Colts starters. And obviously it gives a bit of a boost to the other side of the ball as well, because this offense should stay on the field with Joe Flacco at the turn. We weren't sure about that with Anthony Richardson. So
does that change your mind on the EJ Speed versus Jermaine Pratt?
That's exactly where I thought. That's what I thought as well. I don't think it does.
Okay.
I don't think it does, but
it makes it closer, doesn't it?
It does make it closer. It does make it closer, but I don't think it does yet. Oh, Shawn Bomb shaking it up. I was not anticipating that, although it certainly makes sense. Yeah, so, okay, let's go over to the next question here. We also got some news. Kyler Gordon, Bears defense back. Probably weren't starting him anywhere, but he is also going to be out. Jair Alexander is playing. All the Packers wide receivers are up. Christian Watson, including, is actually active today. Wouldn't feel good about playing him, but he is active, which is surprising. Joe Mixon, Dameon Pierce also active, although all four running backs are also up for Houston this week, so we'll see if any are fake. We got some little, because that's unusual. But either way, let's get back to these questions here from Alex in a full PPR 12-team league. Rashid Shaheed with Spencer Rattler, Keon Coleman, or Josh Downs. Again, with Joe Flacco now. Josh Downs for sure, right?
Yeah, I think you have to. We have no idea what to expect out of New Orleans right now. So that's shaky. And Shaheed was already kind of boomer bust anyway. So, yeah, definitely leaning off that. Coleman just hasn't. He'll get like one good play a game, and that's it. But that Jets defense, stout against receivers. Yeah, Downs for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I love Rashid Shaheed as well. But like you, I would like to wait a week. Let's see what this Rattler situation is. Unless I have a league with return yard bonuses like Scott Fishbowl, where I am still lining up Rashid Shaheed. Which safety should he start? In Kyle Hamilton, Julian Blackman, Tyler Nubin, and Marte Mapu. Oh boy, so I assume this is going to be starting one. I
I
think
I think
Nubin and
so.
Hamilton is where I'm thinking right now in terms of who I'm deciding between. What do you
Yeah,
think?
for sure. I'm right there with you. I'm not ready to jump on the Mapu train here. And Blackman's, I don't know who's going to have the bigger game, him or Cross, what the alignments are going to be. I feel like every time we get it figured out, they change it on us. So I think I'm going to hate myself. Hamilton is where I'm going. I feel like every time I get back on the Hamilton train, I get derailed pretty hard there. So. But as good as Washington has been playing, I think you move Hamilton around, maybe sit him on some blitzes, and screw up Daniels here. So Hamilton's for me.
All right, I'll go with Hamilton as well. Wait, did Hamilton against this? Oh, and there goes my phone falling off the desk. You know how it goes. I do love. I like the Hamilton matchup. I know it's been tough this season. I know it's been very up and down, and I know we haven't been able to trust it. But God,
I
it's
thought
hard
for
for me to shake
sure.
my love for him.
I thought for sure you'd go with Nubin.
Yeah, I'm still shook from that. I'm still shook from that missed tackle from a few weeks ago with Nubin and how
Yeah,
bad that was. But if I put that aside and I put away the irrational fear that is Nubin's probably Nubin, I think has a higher floor, Hamilton with a higher ceiling. But given what I usually look for out of my safeties, I'll probably Nubin's probably the play that will work out best. If I really want to go glass cannon, I might go Kyle Hamilton. JJ asking, is the Hamilton train nonstop? No, there are breaks. The breaks have been hit at times. It has stopped at multiple stations. A few people have gone on. A lot have gotten off. A lot of people have gotten off that train. And they're checking tickets as well, which doesn't help. You kind of like, I'll stay on if I can get to an extra stop. But yeah, it hasn't been the smoothest railroad quite yet. But let's go to Mark LeBlanc here. Also, a couple more injury updates here. Rashad White is inactive this week. So that will be no running back there for the Bucks, but gives Bucky Irving quite a good opportunity here. Michael Pittman and obviously Josh Downs, both active, up, and healthy with Joe Flacco. Keeping three. Mark is asking here for Foy, Tyrell Bernard, or I assume that's Terrell Bernard and not a mix of either way, they're both in the question. So Foy Luakon, Terrell Bernard, Tyrell Dodson, Ernest Jones. Keeping three rest of season. So which one would you cut rest of season?
Whoa. All right. I'm not turning
Probably
loose of
Ernest.
Bernard. I like what Dodson's been doing. He seems to be good most weeks. You'd get rid of Ernest over Foye?
Yeah, I mean, let me quickly update myself on the injury situation, make sure I'm not off base. But if we're talking rest of season, I think that Foy is the guy that if I need to hold one and I'm starting two for the rest of the way, I start Bernard and Dodson and I wait for Foy to get back. But what do you think?
I'm leaning towards getting rid of Foye just because of the way
Yeah.
the Jaguars have been doing their linebackers. They were already starting to rotate Foye out and Devin Lloyd out to get Miller and Muma more involved. It's been a really weird situation out there in Jacksonville.
That's about to get shaken up when they all get fired this week.
whoa! Well, the game ain't over.
Listen, it's not an insult. I'm just saying it's going to happen because they're getting absolutely shellacked by Caleb Williams right now, who is the first rookie quarterback since 1999 to throw 3 touchdown passes in the game. But go on.
I'm not ready to get rid of Ernest Jones either.
Yeah,
I think it comes down to Foye or Dotson. to cut loose here. If I can only keep
You've talked
3,
me into Foye because also it's plantar fasciitis is the injury. That's one that
ooh,
has a decent chance of re-injury as well.
right.
So when we're talking about 4 guys that are in a similar tier, you've talked me into avoiding the possible bombshell of waiting for Foy to get back, having a split usage, possibly getting hurt for a Jaguars team that has an unbelievable amount of questions.
If
Uh,
there's nothing for them to play for after this game, then they might shut him down anyway.
Maybe they want Ventrell Miller to get more reps.
It sure
Another
looks
rookie.
that way.
Yeah, and honestly, he's looked good. So we'll see. But yeah, so I guess we crazy enough say we're gonna let Foy go there. Again, just goes to show the risk of taking IDP's crazy high end drafts because things can change quite quickly. Anyway, flex spot picking 1 for in a PPR league. Trey Sermon in this Joe Flacco offense. Dontavian Wicks, who all of a sudden Christian Watson, Romeo Dubs is up this week, so that's going to make it a little bit dicey. In that same question, Christian Watson here. DeAndre Hopkins, Jalen Tolbert, Alan Lazard. It's Tolbert for me, and I don't like it.
Do you like Tolbert the best of these?
Detroit, man. I like Detroit.
Wow.
I like that matchup against Detroit. I can't play Alan Lazard with any sense of consciousness unless I am so unbelievably forced into it. And I know he might catch a touchdown, but he'll drop 4 passes along the way, and I just can't feel good about that because it's a 0-point floor.
And we don't
It
know what
really
that offense is going to look like this week either. So understand,
That's
don't
also
stay away
very
from that. I'm not taking any of the Packers here on this one either.
I'm not either. So for me, it's between Sermon and Tolbert because Hopkins has been invisible so far. It's a great matchup.
Yeah. I want to take Hopkins here.
Really?
I want to because I think with Joe Flacco in there now the Tennessee's going to have to throw to keep up. And who's going to cover him? Name a cornerback for the Colts right now?
Well, Kenny Moore's hurt. So that leaves.
So nobody's doing anything is what we're
They're
saying.
hurt too. Yeah, I mean that's fair, and you're probably you're talking me into it here. I like this Tolbert matchup against Detroit, man. He's somebody that got decent value last week. There's no reason to expect it to change. In terms of Ferguson, CD, they're still there, but then Brian Cooks is out. The wide receiver 3 situation is abysmal. So
Sure.
Tolbert's looked all right. He's always been a great athlete. He's not exactly the greatest nuances, but he's looked better this year, which out of Southern Alabama was always going to take time. What do you think? Do you have a strong feeling one way?
I like Tolbert. I've got him in a couple deep leagues where I was able to pick him up, and he is starting in those leagues. Hopkins is a bit of a wild card because it could very easily go to Ridley instead. They've had trouble establishing more than one receiver per game forever in Tennessee. Yeah. So I do get that. Sermon here, I think, does get a boost with Flacco being in there because they do have to respect his arm. So maybe they will play off the line of scrimmage a lot more, which could open up some more running lanes there and even some checkdowns. So
and higher touchdown possibility too.
For sure. I do think it does come down to Sermon. I think Sermon probably is the right guy, but I do like the wild side of or the wild card play of Hopkins potentially going off today. But if we are just picking one, I will take the guy that I'm almost certain is going to score a touchdown, and that's Sermon.
Yeah, and there's the added upside of saying that last week we saw him catch 6 balls as well. All dump downs. He did absolutely nothing with it, but in a PPR league, you had that option. This is their short outlet. So you got a lot of options here, Fantasy Sports. I think I'll stick with Tolbert against my better judgment. And I recognize the risk that is, but I think he'll catch a touchdown this week. I think he'll have a big play. So you're going Sermon over Hopkins?
Yeah, I'll go Sermons, Hopkins, then Tolbert.
Okay. All right. So there we go. Now we got some disagreement. There we go.
There we go.
Let's go to Stephen Grease here. Question: looking for thoughts on his flex spots this week. He needs 2 and a full PPR. George Pickens. Oh my God, I got so many premonitions with George Pickens right now, man. I have so many flashbacks of receivers old. That's for another show. George Pickens, Chase Brown, Najee Harris, picking 2, full PPR league. Zach Moss is up, so you have the same backfield in Cincinnati. Najee Harris. Is Jalen Warren up? I think Jalen Warren is back this week, right?
I thought I could be wrong.
I'll fact check that. He was upgraded. Upgraded from questionable to 0 injury designation. So Jalen Warren will be back for the first time in a while. Still no Cordell Patterson, I believe. But what do you think here? Steelers have been really up and down, but you got a Raiders front without Christian Wilkins here.
Yeah, Najee does have that juicy matchup, like I said, with Wilkins being gone. That's a pretty big shoe to fill there. I think Brown is in for me. I think he's the easy one for me. And then comes down to, I think Pickens is going to go off, or is it going to be Harris to get a couple goal line touchdowns? PPR. He has 0 touchdowns. Are you serious?
0 touchdowns. I say that as the guy who had him as the last leg to get a touchdown last week. But aside from that, I go Pickens and Brown here for that reason of, I know the matchup's good with Najee, but it's been good before. He's looked not good, honestly.
And Warren being back kind of eats into him as well.
Yeah, it's just an extra variable that, listen, yeah. George Pickens, much as he bothers me, and much as they may go up and down with the snap count at times, I think this is the week where he pops off, reminds us why he's this guy, and we forgive him for a short while until he does it to us again. I think that's what's going to happen.
For 2 more weeks.
Yeah, exactly. You start him this week, you start him next week, he disappoints next week, and then something else happens. Who knows? We'll see. Hopefully it's easier than that. But let's go on. He also has Josh Downs, which I imagine is the name that stands out here.
Oh man, should start taking
in full PPR. I go Downs
over Pickens. You still go with Brown
with Flacco. I can almost guarantee 5 to 6 receptions for Josh Downs.
Yeah,
and I couldn't do that with George Pickens on a good day.
What about Tucker? Do you like him over Chase Brown?
No. It's. I still have, even though I was willing to play Tucker in the other situation we had, there's still a ton of question marks with this Raiders team. I still want little to do with this Raiders offense in general. This is still a Steelers defense that they're going against with Aiden O'Connell at the helm, who, God bless his soul, is not anything more than an NFL backup. So I would play Downs and Chase Brown here. I'd be fine doing Downs and Pickens or Najee as well, but Downs would be my number one option here with Joe Flacco at quarterback.
Yeah, I do think Downs changes that. We saw what Chase Brown looks like with or without Zach Moss. He looks like the better guy out there. Surely everybody knows that they're going to try to get him some more plays as well. So Downs and Brown, I like that too.
Yeah,
I would have started Tank though in this. If it had been, before this morning, I think Tank, and I probably would have started Brown because I didn't know about Downs yet. So, but I think Tank is the guy you're going to look at to start going forward here. So he's taking over.
That's going to be someone who's not just an also have. He's going to be in that first spot of the question. TM asking here, which 3 linebackers should he start, and how would you rank them rest of season? Cody Barton, you got Wallace again, Overshown, Zaire Franklin. Man, I think it's Trevin Wallace, Overshown, Zaire for me. I'd be fine going Barton over Zaire, but I think I go Zaire.
So you're kicking out Zaire?
Barton. I'm kicking out Barton.
Okay. For this week, yeah.
For this week, I'd be fine going Barton over Zaire, possibly. but I rest of season, I would go Zaire.
I don't, man, that Denver's been tough to opposing teams, so I could see Barton not having as many chances here. Barton's the odd man out for this week for me as well. Ranking these guys rest of the season, though. Overshown and Franklin, I think are right there together for rest of the season. So I'm putting those two in, and then I'm probably putting Wallace over Barton as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. JJ's asking if he's sensing a coup with us over Ricky. Yes.
Yep, it's ours.
Yes. So let's clip this last the answer to that, send it to him down in LSU as he mourns the loss of his beloved Tigers there to a soon-to-be national championship Oregon Ducks team. Daniil, this is a great question by Ken here, honestly. Yeah, Cam Hayward against Aiden O'Connell. Cam Hayward, who everyone thought was done, but once again is proving everyone wrong by being an absolute baller in the middle of that Steelers defense. And you got Daniil Hunter, who everyone thought was going to be the guy again and has been utterly disappointing, but he gets the New York Football Giants. And because of that, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, Cam Hayward. I love you and I love the matchup, but I'm going to trust Daniil Hunter against the Giants. It's probably not going to work out. It's probably going to hurt me. But if Daniil Hunter cannot do it against the New York Giants, the Giants are playing the Bengals.
Patriots. It's Patriots.
What is wrong with me? Patriots.
Close.
I keep doing that. I keep on mixing Patriots and Giants because they're both equally annoying to me, but equally good matchups. Same concept for me. I view the Patriots in a similar light. If he can't do it against Drake May in his first rookie start against his offensive line that's banged up and wasn't good to begin with, I'm giving Hunter one last shot.
I almost dropped Hunter in at least one league this week.
No shame. I will not shame you.
And I held off because of the matchup. And I'm with you. If he can't get it done this week, he's definitely gone next week. However, for this week, I will start Cam Hayward over Daniil Hunter. I have more confidence in Hayward. I think the matchup is better. I can almost feel a sack coming from Hayward better than I can from Hunter. Hunter the matchups have been there in some of these other weeks, and he should have popped off. And I mean, he's getting pressures. He's just not finishing in the backfield there. So,
and that's why I'm still giving him a shot.
Yeah. But I don't have Cam Hayward as my other option in that other league. So, I'm going to take Hayward.
Yeah,
on this one.
No. I think it's totally justifiable. 100%.
Right. But if Hunter does not get it done, like you said this week, he's gone for me in a couple leagues.
I mean, 21 pressures, but only a sack and a half on the season. And obviously the tackle numbers have been abysmal.
And that was his big value.
Man, it's a top 10 number, having 21 pressures so far through 5 weeks of play. So I
don't get points for pressures. That's the problem.
I know we don't get points for pressures. Which sucks. But at some point you have to imagine that regression. Either we're going to be talking about it in 6 months as a reason to buy back into Daniil Hunter, or we're going to be talking about it as a reason why he exploded over the back half of the season. Because pressure should translate to sacks at some point.
One of his big assets was his high tackle numbers. Like, he used to be able to produce 50, 60 tackles. And so losing that, he has now become sack or bust. Yeah. And that's, those are dime or a dozen.
Yeah. 13 tackles through 5 weeks is not getting it done in terms of any type of tackle floor, especially when more than half of those are coming assist. But let's go to Richard Malone here, starting Brandon Jones or Tyler Nubin. Brandon Jones on that sub linebacker safety job, as always, or Tyler Nubin. I'll go Tyler Nubin.
I like Tyler Nubin.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah, so we'll ride that one out here. Fantasy Sports asking, which safety do you like, of Quinn Lake or Cam Curl? Saw somewhere where Cam Curl was playing near the line of scrimmage more last week than Lake. I'm still going Lake, and I have been the biggest Cam Curl guy, but I've been disappointed this year quite a bit. I think Quinn Lake is going to be the slot guy that I want for the rest of the season.
So what he's saying is those numbers changed a bit where Lake wasn't getting as much play up there. So it's something to keep an eye on. If you have both of them, I'm just holding and waiting to see if this was a 1-game thing or if it's going to, transition to Curl being up front. Then you have to go Curl. But if you have both these guys, hold on to them and let's just kind of wait and see. But for now, it's Lake until it's Curl. I'll say that.
Yeah. That's obviously things can change. We're seeing it possibly play out right now in Indianapolis.
Right.
But yeah, for now I'll stick with Quinn Lake. Fantasy breakout needs a flex half PPR. I assume that's Christian Watson, Rico Dowdle, DeAndre Hopkins, and Shaheed. I assume we're picking one. And ironically, this might be where I pick Hopkins.
I like Hopkins here. I don't trust Watson or Dowdle. Shaheed.
Love Shaheed.
Has the highest ceiling of these guys. But
yes, he does.
It's a very shaky
PPR.
Right. A very shaky floor right now. So I like Hopkins here too.
Yeah. The good thing as well, fantasy breakout, if you're going against anyone, if you might have some advantage of knowing what you need. We've had the Thursday night gameplay. We've had a London gameplay right now. If you went against a Caleb Williams and you went against a George Kittle, shoot for it with Rashid Shaheed, maybe.
Yeah,
but
shoot for the moon.
But for now, I mean, the floor is 0 for Rashid Shaheed this week. That's realistically what it could be. It could be Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave catching a bunch of balls from 5 to 10 yards out, if not less. So I'll go Hopkins in like you said, a very good matchup against this Colts defense, which could be a bit of a shootout with Joe Flacco on the other side of the ball. We'll see. Do you like any of the Pats receivers today with Rookie Mays starting? No, I do not, but I have a lot of interest in Jalen Polk's stash going forward. His usage has been good. His snaps have been steadily climbing up. He was the guy that they spent the capital on. Javon Baker has been completely inactive. He's a healthy scratch yet again. So in terms of the guy they want to succeed, it is Jalen Polk. And he's somebody that I have some light interest in, even though I wasn't the highest on him as a prospect. But not starting any of them this week.
No. The only guy I have been starting from the Patriots was Stevenson, and with him out, I'm off this team right now.
I'll play Gibson in some spots.
I have him in one, and that's a super deep league. No, I'm not happy about it, but that's bye weeks, injuries. That's same. Where I'm at.
Bye weeks are rough this week.
Even Hunter Henry is disappointed as of late. So,
yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, Antonio Gibson is someone I'm starting over like Emmanuel Wilson. Another RB2 out there that hopefully gets some juice going, but Antonio Gibson should get the majority, and I think he'll get a decent amount of dump downs with Drake May in theory. Although I would not be surprised in the slightest if May comes out chucking it downfield. I really
to
wouldn't
the
be
Texans.
Texans, defense. Andrea Micheletto, hope I pronounced that correctly. One spot: Antoine Winfield, Kyle Duggar, or Damar Hamlin. Winfield, first game back, Spencer Rattler, pick 6 to the house. Let's get that down there.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. I mean, if we go dive into it more, Kyle Duggar, I don't love this week because I don't think the Texans are going to need to pass in the entire second half. I've said that before, and I could be wrong, but if the Patriots prove me wrong, God bless them. But I don't think they're going to be chucking it deep too much, especially with no Nico Collins as well.
Right.
So Damar Hamlin has been quietly very productive. It's not a horrific matchup against the Jets.
He is probably the safest pick of these three, where
yes,
Winfield is going to be big player, low tackles, I think, this week. Just based on the matchup there. So Hamlin's your safest pick, but Winfield's probably the funnest.
Yeah, and that's what we play fantasy for.
Fun.
We play for fun. And honestly, Antoine Winfield against Rattler, it's it's going to be great. I mean, you have the risk that he doesn't play his usual snaps. You have the risk that the Saints can't stay on the field on offense, or they just dump it down the entire game because they have no choice. So, like you said, DeMar Hamlin, I think, carries the greatest blanket here, the greatest floor. But in terms of just sheer ability and a great matchup to take advantage of a rookie, Antoine Winfield's the guy I'm going to go with. And we're both going to go with. So, Fantasy Sports, planning ahead, how would you rank these waiver wire claims? Oh my, what the heck is this waiver wire? But Jalen Waddle, Rashad White, Devin Singletary, Raheem Mostert, or Jonathan Brooks. For me, Brooks, Waddle, Singletary, White, Mostert. Maybe Mostert had a White.
This is crazy. Why?
This is crazy. If Jonathan Brooks should not be on your wire. Neither should John Waddle.
White probably shouldn't be. Well, I guess so. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Brooks for sure should have been on somebody's team. Waddle should have been on somebody's team, which I understand why they did that, but is this PPR, you think?
You know what? Let's jump to some other start sits and fantasy sports. If you're still here, let us know if it's PPR or half PPR, because those things do change with a when you're talking running backs versus receivers and things like that. And we'll jump back at the end, give a quick answer if we don't hear back anyway. But Victor Ramirez starting 1, Jonathan Cooper, Logan Hall, Josh Sweat. I assume that's Cam Hayward or Jeffrey Simmons starting 1. I'll go Cam Hayward.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Jeffrey Simmons is a good play.
Yep.
Jonathan Cooper's been sneaky, getting some sacks too. Yeah, a lot of good options here. I like Hayward as well. Hayward, Simmons, probably my top 2 there, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that, and I'll go with Hayward. Joe Sorrell, my goodness, Crivella. Apologies. Who do I start? Trevin Wallace or DeMarvin Overshown? I'll go Overshown. I think both will be 100% snap players this week, but Overshown is better, in my opinion. And I think this match against Detroit is going to be just so back and forth. And honestly, with the Panthers, you never really know which way it's going to go and whether it's going to actually help Trevin Wallace. I think it will. But for now, I'll go with Overshown. They're both will be good this week.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I agree. I think both these are going to be very solid plays. Overshown just flies around the field everywhere, so he is everywhere. He is definitely running down tackles. Wallace, if this turns into the Falcons getting a big lead and then just pounding the ball, I mean, he could blow up too. So
yeah,
not a bad start here, but I do like Overshown better.
Yeah, they're both very good options, and I pronounced the name correctly after a second attempt, so I'm
nice.
We're feeling good here. Victor Ramirez here with another question. This is the same one, but with the scoring. 4-point sacks, 2 for solo, 1 for assist, so a bit of a juiced tackle, I would say. But defensive lineman. Does that change anything for you for this question?
No, because I still expect Hayward to get a sack or sack and a half or something today. It probably moves Cooper up over Simmons for me.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, so I would take Cooper over Simmons on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we got 19 tackles for Jonathan Cooper this season. I think I still lean with Cam Hayward, who will usually find his way to 3 tackles. It's not going to do too much, but we've had 3 straight weeks of 4+ tackles for Cam Hayward, and before that it was 3, and before that it was 4 as well. So you have a decent floor baked in with him. And like we've said, if we think he's going to get that sack this week, if he gets that sack, it's only icing on top. So as we're running out of time here, so we're going to try to get to these questions that we got left here. Joe with the second one here, flex spot, Aaron Rodgers, Will Levis, Trey Sermon, or Rashid Shaheed. Oh, we are back, baby. Assuming a super flex spot. Oh man, you got Will Levis in a juicy matchup.
I've been watching Will Levis. He is a highlight reel for negativity.
Oh my god.
We've all seen the memes. I'm not ready to put Rodgers back up there.
I'm not either. and I'd actually rather play Will Levis than Aaron Rodgers, and I hate saying that, but I really think the Jets are going to run the ball 40 times on Monday night.
Yeah, I can see that. It's between Levis and Sermon for me, and
Yep, same.
I'm probably leaning Sermon, but I wouldn't hate the Levis pick.
Yeah, I'll go Levis, just because
Okay.
in theory, a bad week should still be 9 to 12 points. And against this Colts defense that is so beat up,
Mhm.
you have him coming off the bye. They said they were going to ride with him. They chose to ride with him through the bye. They had every chance to pivot, but the second after they pulled him, listen, I'm full disclosure. I was forced into a situation where I had to trade for Will Levis this week. I'm a Sam Darnold, Pat Mahomes league. They're both on bye.
You take the
It
loss
was either
and just
it was
go
Aiden
on.
O'Connell. It was Aiden O'Connell. I had Aiden O'Connell, which I was not willing to do, so I sent Andre Yoshivas out
Okay.
for Will Levis for a 1 week start because of this Colts matchup. And I'm willing to ride him out for this Colts matchup, especially when we have a good feeling like the other side of the ball is going to be high scoring. I'm not going to act like it's enjoyable. I wouldn't blame you if you go with Trey Sermon, but I'll take Will Levis in this matchup coming off the bye again, as I can't reiterate enough in this matchup.
Yeah. And it's because there is no Kenny Moore, there is no DeForest Buckner, there's no Ebicam, there's no Pay, no Lewis. I mean, this team is banged up. So if he's going to look mediocre, it's definitely this week.
Yeah, if he can trick you into being a rest of season starter, it'll be this week.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. And a final question in here. Oh, before we jump back to the waiver question real quick. Kyle Singer asking, picking one full PPR, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir if he plays, which I think he's trending out, but you have Keon Coleman to pivot to. Because they're both on the Bills on Monday night. Or Romeo Dubs. So basically one of the Bills receivers, whoever ends up playing, or Romeo Dubs with Christian Watson back, although I really would be surprised if he's fully back this week.
I'm leaning Romeo Dubs here.
Yeah.
I'm rather with you. The Jets secondary has been able to lock down some people. It's been tough to pass against. I don't think Shakir plays this week, and Coleman, I mean, he's usually a big gain, and that's about it. He hasn't really offered anything else. It's going to be the Cook show and the Allen touchdown runs.
Yeah. And Joe also asking, when is Buckner coming back? We don't have any. There haven't been any clear updates. He went to the IR 4 weeks ago with an ankle injury. He was carted off at the time, but I believe it was still diagnosed as just a bad sprain.
Yeah, high ankle sprain.
So I think they could open up his practice window next week, but that doesn't mean he'll be back, and it doesn't mean they will. So probably sometime over the next month, but not quite yet. Getting a couple of last questions in that we'll jump to and just do a quick hit on, because we are well past the hour mark and I've taken up enough of Sean's time here this lovely morning, but we're here to help, and that's what we're here to do. Quickly going back to that other waiver question. It's full PPR. So I go Waddle, Brooks, and I wouldn't blame you if you go Brooks first. I'd go I'm going to pivot off that. I'm going to go Brooks, Waddle, White, Singletary, Mostert.
Yeah, I think that's probably good.
Fine if you go Waddle first as well. No shame at all on that in full PPR.
Yeah. Basically, the way you have them listed, just put Brooks in front, and that changes. That's pretty much our ranking. Singletary, I liked, but Tyrone Tracy is starting to come alive. It looks like so. Yeah.
And on that topic, quick final questions in here from Mark Maloney. Bucky Irving with no Rashad White, or Tyrone Tracy with no Devin Singletary. Half PPR league. You got the Giants. Again, I'm going to get this right this time against the Bengals.
There you go.
Against the Bengals. And you got the Bucks going against the
Saints.
The Saints this week against Spencer Rattler. Good matchup for Tracy.
I think Tracy does have the better matchup here. Saints could be very tough on defense when they want to be.
when they want to be. Yeah.
This feels like a Chris Godwin game to me.
Yeah, I mean, we know Mike Evans historically struggles against Marshawn Lattimore. I'm actually benching Mike Evans for, I think I benched him for JSN, which was a bad call in hindsight now. But that's how worried I was about that situation.
Yeah, I get it.
Quickly checking how the Saints have fared against running through the air in terms of receptions allowed, because that's what Bucky's done well, but not too much. We have that DeMario Davis situation that the Jets should have never let go years ago. So I'll go Tyron Tracy here. I don't love it. I wouldn't blame anyone for going Bucky Irving, because we might see Eric Gray take a decent amount of the work as well. But
yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going Tracy.
So I said
as
this
well.
would be a quick hitter, and I've gone on and on.
I like Tracy as well.
So we'll both go Tracy.
Yeah.
Quick, here's a decision that I faced in a league: Jordan Love or Kyler Murray. I'll go Jordan Love. No problem with going Murray as well, because they're playing each other. They're both going to be good, but I'll take the home matchup with Jordan Love.
Yeah, I like Love. I look for him to bounce back from last week.
All right, and a final question in here from a terrific name. Offense question, half PPR, Calvin Ridley or Antonio Gibson? Oh, boy.
We're talking if we're Hopkins, that means back. Ridley has to suffer, right?
If I said Will Levis is someone I'm okay with starting, I guess I'll stick by my guns and say Calvin Ridley, because Antonio Gibson, I really don't know what to expect from the Patriots this week. It's a tough matchup with the Texans defense. I'll go Ridley.
Yeah, I feel like Gibson's only going to come alive when it's trash time and he can get some checkdowns if we get to that point. It's Ridley for me too. I don't feel really great about either one. But.
Well, that's how we should end this, because that kind of adds up week 6 right there. You don't feel great about it, but these are the options we got. We all got injuries. We all got bye weeks. We all are trading for Will Levis to start in a certain dynasty league because we have no other options. Or maybe not, and I hope none of you guys are in that situation as well. But either way, thank you, Shawn, for joining me here on this Week 6 Starts This Show. Any final words for our beloved listeners out there?
Good luck, guys. Hang in there. We're almost at halfway.
Almost at halfway. Hey, you said that was demoralizing, Shawn. That was a low tone. We're almost halfway. It's almost like you're rushing to get to the end.
Yeah, just in a few leagues where I'm doing great.
Okay. I maybe it was a Dolphins vibe that I got there. It was a pessimistic vibe.
Yeah. Okay. We're waiting for Tua to come back. So
yeah, and it will be soon enough. So hopefully that'll make these Jalen Waddle questions a little bit more fun to answer and stuff like that. But either way, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for all the questions before and after and during. We really appreciate it, because, again, the show is nothing without your questions, and we're happy to help. That's what we're here to do. Remember to sign up for IDP Plus. Be sure to subscribe, because we're only here for an hour on one day of the week. We have Discord chats where we're answering questions like this all week long. That includes Thursday night. That includes these London games. That includes the night game. Includes Monday, the waiver questions. All these things we have answering in those chats, as well as just great content. We got our articles online. We have obviously the articles. We have the tools. We have a bunch of stuff for subscribers to take advantage of. It's very, very good value for what the price is. So definitely encourage everyone to check that out. The links will be all around us, and especially on idpplus.com. So either way, be sure to follow Shawn here, Shawn Teague, otherwise known as Just Shawn. Well done. I like that one. You always nail it out of the park there. And I apologize for not giving you the credit or from the start of the show with the name. But follow Shawn here at Shawn8386 on Twitter. Follow myself at Michael_Sicoli. And of course, you can follow IDP Plus at IDP Plus on Twitter. So for myself, for Shawn, and for all of us here at IDP Plus, thank you all for tuning in here at the Week 6 Start Sit Show. Best of luck with your matchup. Stay healthy, stay safe, and good luck. And we'll see you in Week 7.